Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolfe alongside Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall, Kevin Wilds, and we are coming off a fabulous weekend of sports. You had the Masters, you had football, there are NBA rumors. So much to get to on a Monday morning, and we are going to dive right in with what was perhaps the play of the weekend. We're in Arizona, Cards and Bills, one of the wildest finishes you'll see. Cards down 4-time, winding down Kyler Murray, heaving up a prayer. The Hail Mary to the end zone, and somehow DeAndre Hopkins in the middle of three Buffalo receivers makes the absolutely incredible catch. That's the ball game. Best finish I've seen all year. Here is yesterday's clear-cut hero, DeAndre Hopkins, after pulling off that amazing catch.
You know, in basketball terminology, that's what they call this. You know, when somebody get dunked on. But it was on 3 people. Yeah, it was, you know, they were in position. It was just a better catch by eye.
I've never played receiver, so I don't even, you know, I'm thinking like, you know, he's got to run down there. That's a 50-yard trot down there, you know, and then he's got to post up with 3 dudes that are NFL athletes. I don't know. I don't know. It's that's a tough catch. It's tough.
Cardinals stealing that one from Buffalo, and the accolades poured in as expected. LeBron chiming in with wow, 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 hop, 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 DeAndre Hopkins. My bro, different. Patrick Mahomes tweeted, DeAndre Hopkins is a monster, man. And Eli Manning with this little humorous gem. Only a select few of us that can make a play like this. Ha! All right, Brandon, let's not forget there wouldn't have been that catch without that throw. So I got to ask, which was better, the throw or the catch?
Yeah, Jenna, both insanely good. But if I have to give an edge to one, I would give it to D-Hop. I mean, it's hard, and Kyler talked about it. You're in a 2-minute situation, so you're in a hurry-up situation. You're on the ball. You're exhausted as a receiver. One of the hardest things to do is give it your all, your effort at the end to get in the end zone. So he had to sprint 50 yards, get himself in position, and then go track the ball with 3 guys around him. I have to give it to Sticky Finger DeAndre Hopkins. This was an amazing catch. I've been in this situation probably 100 times and never got this close. Never came down with the ball. I've been in this situation as a defender. Todd Bowles, defensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Bucks, used to throw me out there at safety all the time. These guys are wrong. How do you have 3 defenders going after the ball? There's only one guy that's supposed to go get the ball, and that was usually me or the safety. All 3 of these guys went for the ball. They're supposed to box out like D-Hop said. This is a basketball situation. They played it all wrong, and D-Hop was able to track it and come down with it, Nick.
Brandon, this is not a hard question. The more impressive part is the catch. The throw's great, but there's at least 4 guys in the league that can make that throw. Kyler, Rodgers, Mahomes, Russ. Now,
Yes.
if Russ made the throw, it probably gets intercepted. But 4 guys can make that throw. Only DeAndre Hopkins. He's the only receiver in the league that can make this catch. He's the only one.
Really?
DeAndre Hopkins, it's not just because of his hand size and hand strength. I think he has the best pair of hands in the league aside from his teammate Larry Fitzgerald, and Fitzgerald doesn't have the athleticism anymore to make this play. Listen, I was in Houston when they drafted him. A couple years ago, DeAndre made what I think might be one of the greatest catches in NFL history that didn't count. As some of you guys will remember it, it was against the Dolphins. He made it one-handed and then put it between his legs. But they watch this play right here. This is, and so it is, on first glance, that catch looks amazing. What you're about to see here, this catch is impossible. He catches it one-handed, tip of the football between his legs, never touches the ground.
The ball didn't move.
It never moved. It never moved, and but that one didn't count. So Wilds, to me, it's the catch. I think the throw is great. The catch is all-time great by DeAndre.
100%.
Yeah, I'll tell you, look, it's a great throw. DeAndre had a great catch, but let's not overlook the other unsung hero of this play, number 21 on Buffalo. Mr. Poyer, Jordan Poyer, with a great play, comes in and hits his own guy. Get him out of there. Clear him right out. It's a strong play. It's like a moving pick. Blammo, get out of here. Let him catch it. It's good for the league. It's good for the Patriots. So it's double celebration for me. Great play. A great performance for the Patriots here. Number 21, Jordan Poyer, with a great play. Helps the Patriots move up in the standings.
Guys,
I didn't even notice that.
But guys, it's terrible execution. I want to reiterate this. This is what happens to good teams where they just don't execute. The Buffalo Bills, you can't have 3 guys going for the ball. There should be a guy pulling on D-Hop. There should be a guy boxing out D-Hop. They're all going after the ball. We're not taught that when we're sitting in these meetings. You go through this play every single Saturday. These are one of the last things you do before you get on the bus, go to the hotel, or before you go to the airport.
You don't have to raise your hand,
do
Wells.
you
Go
feel like the defense, sorry, it's like class. Do you feel like the defense can be a little bit extra aggressive here because the referees would be reluctant to call pass interference on a Hail Mary?
You got it. Before Hail Mary, I used to always tell the refs, like, are you going to call the PI? They never called the PI. So the defensive backs, they should have played into that. No, they never. I think we've seen it one time in the last 10 years on a Hail Mary where someone threw a flag on it. You usually see, defensive backs pulling on the receiver, pushing them out the way before the ball's in the air, and they didn't do that here. They missed an opportunity to take advantage of the no calls in the Hail Mary situation.
Good 21. Stand up. I love it.
I get all that. I get all that, Jenna. But I actually think that was a pretty good. I don't think the defense was terrible. I think it's an amazing play by D-Hop. But go ahead. I think it's an amazing play by Hopkins, Jenna.
Well, okay, so it was a great catch, but you can't overlook the fact that it was also a great throw. And after yesterday's game, Kyler Murray, that throw plus all his other throws, jumped up to 4th in MVP odds behind. You got Russ, Mahomes, and Rodgers. Brandon, I'll send it back to you. You think Kyler Murray officially entered the MVP discussion after this game-winning Hail Mary heroic yesterday?
100%. I mean, he's having a Lamar Jackson MVP year. If you look at the numbers, they're almost identical. I mean, they're getting it done in the pass game. They're getting it done in the run game. And also what makes this cool is he has the flair that goes with it. When you think about the year Lamar Jackson had last year, what was he doing? He was dominating you through the passing game and the run game. And he was really efficient with the ball. But the kid did it with swagger. The kid did it with flair. He did it with attitude. And is anyone doing it better than Kyler Murray right now? Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is winning games. He's Mr. Consistent. He's like Hawaii right now. You have, Aaron Rodgers who's getting it done. But this kid, if they continue to win these games, and he's getting it done with flair, he has a chance to be the next MVP.
Brandon. Did you just ghost Russell Wilson on live television? He doesn't even get a mention? Your beloved?
Hold on.
Did you just ditch Russell Wilson on live TV
in a new
without
studio.
even a mention for him?
I'm in LA. I'm in a new studio. I don't think I can hear you correctly.
Oh, okay. I got you. I understand. I understand. I said Friday, there's only going to be one NFC West quarterback that finishes the season in the MVP conversation. Because you can't win the MVP as a quarterback if you don't win the division. Now, Russ and Kyler play each other on Thursday, and that game will go a long ways to determining which of those quarterbacks gets to finish second in the MVP to Patrick Mahomes, who's obviously going to run away with it. But just like I think it was too early 4 weeks in to anoint Russ the MVP, it's too early 9 weeks in to say Kyler is just totally dispatched of Russ. But what is true is while the Cardinals behind Kyler have scored 30 in 5 straight games and won 4 of 5. Meanwhile, Seattle has lost 3 of 4, and Russ has been, and I poke at Russ jokingly, but Russ has been turning the ball over at an alarming rate. 10 turnovers in their last 4 games as the team's gone 1-3. So right now, I think it's Mahomes, Rodgers, Kyler, Russ. That's how I would slot the 4 as we sit here today.
I buy that. Yeah, I think Kyler's in the club, but like Patrick Mahomes is in VIP. Like, you still can be in the club. You're like, oh, man, he's got bottle service up there. I got 3 good Kyler stats for you. 1, the Cardinals are first in total offense. No one talks about it. We just think it's the Seahawks and the Kansas City. It's not. Now it's the Cardinals. 2, only Dalvin Cook has more rushing TDs than Kyler Murray. That blew my mind. And 3, he's still on pace for the first 4,000 passing yard season and 1,000-yard rushing season. It'd be the first all time. So I think with a little bit of marketing, and if Mahomes has a little bit of a dip, Kyler could sneak up to VIP MVP.
Wow.
Look, you mentioned it, Nick. It's going to be a fun one Thursday night on Fox when Kyler and Russ go head-to-head Thursday Night Football. Hey, one person in America picked the Patriots to beat the Ravens last night. Lucky for us, that one person sits on our virtual set. Big night for New England. Big night for the K-Man. Next, first things first.
We all owe Wilds an apology. We laughed.
All right, let us shift our attention up to New England. The task for the Patriots: beat one of the best teams with one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in the league in the Baltimore Ravens. Patriots are like, I got you, no problem. Cam and the Pats grounding and pounding their way somehow to a 23-17 win. Bad loss for the now 6-3 Ravens, but a big win for the Patriots as they inch closer to 500. Here's Cam Newton after the game on the magic of Belichick.
Listen, everything that coaches throughout the week, it tends to come up. And, I'm beginning to think he either has like a Staples Easy button or a Buffalo Wild Wings button or just a straight direct line to the football guys, because he's like a football whisperer when it comes to anticipating what the game's going to be like, how we need to win and things like that. I'm extremely impressed with that. But for me, trying to find ways to keep this team in a manageable situation offensively is one of the things that I have to keep doing and keep doing a better job at.
I'm going to get to what Cam said in 1 second. Cam legit walked into his closet yesterday and said, what would be the best thing to win? That's it.
Yep.
With the hat, we nailed it. Now all we got to do is win. Kevin Wildes, buddy, we laughed at you. We laughed, exactly. We laughed at you on Friday. We laughed at you on the air. We laughed at you behind your back. We were like, no way Patriots pulled this out. Somehow the Patriots pulled this out. What do you have to say to all of us laughers this morning, KW?
Okay, first of all, I forgive everyone. Because after the show, I went down and said, you know what? I was looking at my Christmas list, and I said, I'm going to downgrade everyone to coworkers or people I occasionally talk to. And it went from friends to coworkers, and it was a tough decision for me. And your Christmas presents were going to reflect it. When you just got, a tin of cookies, you're like, wow, I shouldn't have picked against the Patriots. Here's the thing, though, Nick. There's a lie that we tell children all across America, and you know what that lie is? You know what? If you just punch the bully, in the face, they'll no longer be a bully. They're actually just scared. Not true. Sometimes the bully comes back, says, you know what? Still a bully. In fact, I'm going to increase my bullyhood. And that's what Bill Belichick did. Told you on Friday, said, what do we do? And said, oh, Kevin, we always know. You take away the best thing. I'm like, yeah, I told you. So the Ravens came in, averaging 170 yards in a game that you had to run the ball because we're in a monsoon. They ran for 115 yards. A team did run for 170 yards. Who was that? Uh-oh. It's Bill Belichick and Rex Burkhead and Damian Harris of the Patriots. Hello, everybody. Basic football wins games. We run the ball. We don't turn the ball over. And we've got one little trick play. Jacoby Myers throwing the ball. Just love it. That's a little Josh McDaniels sprinkle, a little salt-based sprinkle on the offensive game plan. So I've got advice for everybody. If you want to stay in my good graces, don't root against the Patriots. You don't have to. But go to fanatics.com and you can order, Nick, you can order more stuff. You can order your Texans gear. You can order the Cardinals gear because that's who the Patriots up against. And if we get to over 500 or get in the playoffs, oh boy, it's going to be bad news for Tua. It's going to be bad news for the Chiefs. Oh, I know you're from Pittsburgh, Brandon. Bad news for the Steelers. You don't want to see us anymore. The bully's back, Nick. The bully is back.
So here's the listen. So first, let me give Wildes credit. There's no problem. There's a bit of a problem.
Okay, thank you.
But Wilds deserves credit for believing in his team in the face of what I thought was an impossible task, which was beating the Ravens in a game the Ravens really needed in conditions that actually I thought weren't necessarily going to favor the Ravens, but a team that is that run heavy, I thought they'd be fine in the rain and the wind that was expected for Sunday night. Instead, the Ravens couldn't snap the ball. They were a mess in multiple phases of the game, and the Ravens do appear, and we haven't talked about it enough, to desperately miss their all-pro left tackle, who they gave $100 million to, and then he got knocked out for the season a couple weeks ago. It's a great win by the Patriots, and it is a vintage Belichick performance. Bill Belichick reminded everyone that we still need to put respect on his name. I was out here saying, was Brian Flores, had he replaced him as the best coach in the AFC East? Belichick said, not so fast, my friend. The problem for the Patriots, however, Brandon, does become, do they have enough time to make up the ground they've already lost, especially with Miami surging and with that devastating loss they had to Buffalo a few weeks ago? I don't think they do, but, Brandon, I have to give Wilds credit in this regard. You could have written their season off had they lost yesterday. I was certain they were going to lose yesterday. In addition to the Browns and Cardinals bad beats I took, I made a bad bet on the Ravens, -6.5. That was dead from kickoff. So the Patriots stayed alive, but I don't think that heartbeat is much more than a faint one right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Nick. They don't have enough time. But I want to go back to Wilds. Wilds, buddy, let's go back to Friday. We had Mike Vick on. And Nick and Jenna, everybody was against you. I said verbatim, I'm riding with you. That's exactly what I said. Do you not remember that? So I feel like we both should be on this pedestal right now for giving these amazing takes Monday morning. I said, I'm riding with you.
No.
Do you not remember that?
Brandon
Wilds
Marshall.
correct.
Brandon Marshall. Brandon Marshall. You said, I'm riding with you. And on a scale of 1 to 10,
I said I'm riding with you.
I'm a 2. You said you were a 2. So like you were not riding with me. I was hitchhiking on the side of the road, and you said, I'm riding with you, and you opened up the door, and then you did one of those, you kept going, and I had to chase you like a fool. You're not riding with me. You're not riding with me, but we're back to being friends.
All right, Brandon, let's talk some receiver rankings now. DeAndre Hopkins' Hail Mary catch, that stole the show this weekend. Last week, you said, besides the fact that you're riding with you, meaning Wilds, last week you also said DK Metcalf is the best wide receiver in football. Did Nuke's catch catapult him over DK in your receiver rankings?
Yeah, I mean, all year when I answer this question, I'm always looking at both DK Metcalf and DeAndre Hopkins. Now, if I'm an executive, if I'm a general manager, if I'm an owner right now, and I'm building my team from scratch, and I got to take the wide receiver, I'm probably going to take DK Metcalf because of the upside. This kid has shown to be able to learn very quickly. He came in raw. He wasn't able to put his foot in the ground at the top of his routes, but he's developed at an extremely fast pace. And then the deep ball, he does a great job of really making plays in the passing game. However, another thing that I look at when I'm breaking down a wide receiver, there's 32 number one jobs, but there's really only 10 probably number one wide receivers. And when I look at it, I got to see a guy that can beat one-on-one. I got to see a guy that can stand up in big moments. And I kind of broke this down on Friday. DeAndre Hopkins has been a guy that's showed us time, year after year after year, that he can make these plays. Nick, you talked about him early on in our show, highlighting the amazing catch that he had. He's done that year in and year out. So I have to say right now, in this moment, looking at the last couple weeks, I'm going with DeAndre Hopkins. You got to put respect on this kid's name now. We always have Michael Thomas, 142 catches. You have Julio Jones, just Mr. Consistent, 1,500, 1,600 yards. This guy, for the last 6-7 years, has done this over and over and over again, and we continue to overlook him. DeAndre Hopkins, I'm not overlooking you anymore. Now, can things change in the next couple weeks? Can I be fickle? 100%. But right now, Jenna, I'm going with DeAndre Hopkins as my number one wide receiver in the National Football League.
I've got a very, very quick, wildly controversial take the audience can consider during the break. There is no best wide receiver in the NFL right now. There are 6 eligible candidates. There is the title belt right now is vacant. Jenna, it's a vacant belt, and there's 6 contenders vying for it. Wilds can fake snore all he wants. It's the right take. There is no best receiver in the NFL right now. Consider that.
All right, well,
that's my take.
Well, one of the candidates was DK. DK and the Seahawks had a rough day out in LA, due in part to Russ. God, we never say that. What happened? We'll break it down next. First things first. Oh, that's one of them.
That was really mean. I started sleeping during.
Back here on First Things First. All right, all 3 of you nailed Bucks to win in yesterday's free-to-play Super 6 contest. Nick, you also correctly predicted the blowout. How'd they do it?
Oh, there's no pass rush for Carolina. Any team that Tampa plays that doesn't have a pass rush, they're going to look outstanding. They were able to overcome a fumble early. This is the exact type of game I think we all expect Tampa to look great, and they did. Credit to Tampa. Gronk got going. Brady looked great. It was a great win by the Bucks, as predicted by everybody.
All right, we'll make sure.
Tom, a compliment.
Yeah. Try to get your picks in
7 on 7
before kickoff on Sunday for your chance to win, and then we could talk about you instead of the other people that we
probably
talk
have
about.
a Tampa Tom
or
tattoo.
head to the Fox Sports app for much more information. Let's move on. We're going to stay in the NFC now. Talk some Seahawks taking on the Rams. Another tough day at the office for Russell Wilson. Turned the ball over 3 times, sacked 6 times, and tried to cover up for his bad defense all the times. Russ, 10 turnovers in his last 4 games as the Seahawks fall to the Rams. Brandon, Seattle's dropped 3 of their last 4 games now. Are you starting to think of these guys as pretenders after dropping to 6 and 3?
Absolutely not. They're just playing really bad ball right now. Think about it. We've been crushing this defense, and then they held them to 23 points yesterday, the LA Rams. But then offensively, they have a couple issues. Number one, you have to protect the quarterback. Everything you do. Their offensive line, they're not doing a great job of that. Russ is getting hit too many times. Number 2, Russ, his feel is gone. His eyes are bad. Think about what got him into this discussion, why he's had so much success early on. Because Russ is that guy that's scrambling, is making moves in the pocket, and then all of a sudden he finds the guy. He happens to find a guy running wide open, or he throws the ball into double coverage and it gets through everyone, or he throws it to Tyler Lockett, and he, Tony toe tap in the back of the end zone. But what's happening now is Russ is doing that. He's throwing the ball in the end zone, and then it leads to a pick. That's their end result. And the last thing is teams know what they're dealing with now. They're predictable on offense. They're a team that wants to run the ball. I know there's a whole lot of talk about let Russ cook. But offensively, when you look at their passing game, it's not really sophisticated. It's not really developed. They don't really do a lot of things well. What they do is, hey, we're going to run the ball, then we're going to take shots. So how did the LA Rams play them yesterday? They eliminated the big play. So when you look at, what the Seattle Seahawks is dealing with right now, they're all fixable issues, but they should be concerned because if they don't turn this around quickly, then they're going to see themselves in a very vulnerable position.
So 2 major concerns for Seattle, and then I'll talk about the silver lining. The first one is that first Russ interception was really concerning because of the manner in which it happened. And Troy did a great job breaking it down during the game. He could have run for 20 yards and a first down.
Yep.
And for some reason, he felt the need to force this ball. When I saw him let go of the football, I thought it was going to be another one of those where a Seahawks receiver is just standing by himself in the corner of the end zone because it is so open for him to run for a first down and more. That's issue number 1, that Russ is pressing. I mean, the interceptions over the last 4 games, the fumbles now, 3 fumbles, 8 picks over the last 4 games. That's a big, big deal. That's the first point. Second point is this. DK Metcalf got shut down by Jalen Ramsey. Now, Jalen Ramsey might be the best corner in the league, so you can say that's an outlier, but if it's number one wide receiver in football or someone in that argument against number one corner, there should be some wins, some losses on both sides of the ledger. Instead, it was all wins on the Jalen Ramsey side of the ledger. Despite all that, Wilds, and that's not even talking about their defense, which played well yesterday, but I think is seriously flawed. The reason, Wilds, I still have to say they are contenders is this. Go down the list of every NFC playoff team. Tell me the flawless team. There isn't one. New Orleans quarterback is all of a sudden hurt, and Brandon has laid out brilliantly their playoff struggles. Green Bay cannot stop the run to save their life. Tampa can't deal with an opposing team's pass rush. Arizona has no experience and a mediocre defense, and the Rams don't trust their quarterback. So those are the 5 other playoff teams in the NFC, plus whatever comes out of the NFC East. So they have to still be contenders, Wilds, even if they are a obviously flawed football team.
So, Brandon, just not to pile on DK, but I want to play a game called Is This Something or Nothing? So DK wasn't even targeted until late in the third quarter. He ends up with 4 catches for 28. His other previous worst game was against Patrick Peterson, 2 for 23. So is this a case of him feasting on everyone except the elite corners? Is this something or nothing?
You know, I got to be honest here. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here on television just because I occupied a seat and give a take. You know, there's so much that can go into this. You know, when I was in Denver and we had Nnamdi Asomugha on the other side when he was playing for the Oakland Raiders, and he was considered probably the best one-on-one corner at the time, we would literally go into games and say we're not throwing his way, and it would tick me off. I would say I'm emerging number 1 wide receiver, and I'm playing really well right now, and you're not going to give me an opportunity when I'm on the side of Nnamdi's, and I didn't get it. So there's a lot that we don't know. The game plan could have been tailored to go away from those number 1 cornerbacks. And then also, you know, it took me 3-4 years to really develop as far as a receiver at the line of scrimmage going against men. Now, it's a difference between going against cornerbacks and going against Jalen Ramsey, Patrick Peterson. When you're a big receiver and you're a bully, and you go against a bully for the very first time, it almost shocks you. Patrick Peterson, and I talked to him about this on his podcast, and it was about the first time I played against him, I dominated him. And then every game after that, it was a little give and take because he stood up to the challenge. So he's been prepped to go against these big number 1 receivers. He does it every day against Larry Fitzgerald in practice. He had me in some classic battles there. Jalen Ramsey is a bully. So DK Metcalf, this is one of the areas where he needs to mature and grow, and that's beating one-on-one press coverage against really good corners, and in particular, big corners, Nick.
I want to circle back to the Seahawks as a whole for a moment, because I obviously can't add anything more than you did about the number 1 receiver against another number 1 corner. I think we could get to the postseason and not have any real idea how good Seattle actually is. Because Seattle right now doesn't have a single great win. The best team they've beaten is Miami, and that was Miami pre-Tua. No disrespect to your guy Fitzpatrick. After the Arizona game, Seattle plays, and I believe this is the order, Philly, Giants, Jets, Washington. That's 4 in a row. So they can get to 10, 11. They have the San Francisco week 17. They could get to 11 wins without a single great win on the ledger. So I think we're going to have real question marks, Jenna, about how good Seattle is against high-level competition even come January, unless this Thursday they beat up on the Cardinals. If this Thursday they not only beat the Cardinals, but beat up on the Cardinals and send a message, the division goes through them, that'll be meaningful. But if this is a close game or they lose the game and then they reel off 4 in a row against awful teams, I feel like there'll be real questions about what Seattle actually is going into the postseason, Jenna.
That's a good point. All right, we're going to table the Seahawks, talk some hoops now. James Harden might be on the move very soon. Wait till you hear his rumored landing spot. But first, Baker Mayfield busting out Lil Wayne line yesterday at his presser. Baker with his ode to Weezy.
Yeah, I mean, they made great plays when they needed to. I think Miles took the approach of, real G's move in silence like lasagna.
Back here talking hoops, big names rumored to be making some big moves this short off season, perhaps no bigger than this. James Harden possibly joining the Brooklyn Nets and reuniting with KD's reportedly, quote, resonating with Harden. So just to say out loud what that would sound like, KD, Kyrie, and James Harden together in the same court. Doesn't sound bad. Pelicans guard Josh Hart chimed in with this gem. I was already over 2020, but if James goes to Brooklyn, then I'll see y'all 2022 because they'll get 2020-21. Best tweet of the weekend. Chris Broussard is joining us now. Broussard, what do you make of this? You confident that Harden to the Brooklyn Nets would even work?
No, not at all. These three pieces don't fit. It's just as simple as that. You got three guys who are used to having the ball in their hands. None of them move well without the basketball, except maybe Kevin Durant because of his time in Golden State. But even there, in his second year in Golden State, he was bucking the system. And that almost cost him in the series against Houston when he wanted to play more isolation. Look, when a big three doesn't fit together, one of the three has to step back and give up a lot of his game. Which one of these guys is willing to do that? It's possible that it could work in terms of them getting to the finals and having a shot at winning it just because they're so talented. Sheer talent alone, you got three tremendous one-on-one players. So they would certainly be good just based on that. But it is not a good fit. If I had to pick one to have the ball in his hands, it'd be James Harden. He's best suited to have his scoring average drop by about 10 points and then lead the team in assists. But is he willing to do that? Is Kyrie willing to play off the ball? Those are the questions that you have to ask here. If James Harden is looking to move, his number one destination should be Philadelphia for Ben Simmons. And the same goes for Houston because I'd rather have Simmons than anything Brooklyn can offer.
So let me talk about the Nets side of this and then get into why I don't think this will happen. I think a KD and Harden duo would be absolutely unbelievable. The only reason it wouldn't be the best duo in basketball is because LeBron and Anthony Davis are still out there with the Lakers. But in most years, that would be the best 1-2 punch in the league. The problem is the Kyrie piece. And while the reporting is Harden really likes the idea of this, I cannot imagine that Kyrie likes the idea of this whatsoever. And if this were to happen, I would imagine this time a year from now, we'd be talking about the Nets trading Kyrie because those three guys do not work together, all three of them. Forget what they'd be on the defensive side of the ball. The skill sets, to Broussard's point, are too redundant. But the reason I think it's something of a moot point is because Raphael Stone, Daryl Morey's protege, who's the new GM in Houston, his first move is not going to be trading James Harden and not getting a blue chipper in return. You are absolutely right, Broussard, that if Harden's available, Ben Simmons makes more sense. If Danny Ainge were ever willing to actually try to win a championship, 1-for-1, Harden for Tatum is a really interesting trade. There are so many teams that would give up a better player with respect than Karis LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie for the three-time reigning scoring champ and a guy that's top 5 in the MVP every single year. And this is not a situation where Harden can just pick his spot. Well, Brandon, they do. He has 3 years left on his contract.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
But as a player, when you don't want to be somewhere, it doesn't matter if you have 10 years left on your deal. You can force your way out of it. You can make things super ugly for a team and the organization and owner. Now, I don't see James Harden doing this, but absolutely he has leverage. They're not. Look. If you're getting rid of Westbrook, he doesn't want to be there, then what do you have? If you don't have, teams are sitting back and they know, like, well, if Harden wants out, we don't have to throw everything at him. They can sit back and wait and let this thing play out and let it get ugly. So I disagree with you, Nick. I think James Harden has a lot of leverage. Now, to answer the question, could this work?
Can I just respond to that real quick, Brandon? Brandon, just real quick,
absolutely.
because I think we actually agree. I think Harden has immense leverage to get out of Houston. I totally agree he can force his way out. I do not think he has immense leverage on where he lands because he's not going to retire. He's got 3 years left on his contract, 2+ an option. And so if you send him to Philly or where someone that can give you something better than Brooklyn, then I do think he has leverage to force his way out, but not pick his destination a la Anthony Davis. But go ahead, the fit. If he were to go to Brooklyn, what do you think of the fit there?
Yeah, but I do agree with you that I do think the best landing spot would be Philly for him. And you know, the question, would this work? Chris, absolutely it can work. Like, what do you think? You've been around the game way too long. You've seen players adapt. You've seen players adjust. James Harden last year tried to adjust. He started playing defense. He dominates the ball.
Really?
And what did he do in the bubble? He started dishing. He started trying to play off the ball. So, yes, this can work. Think about the example you just used. The Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and KD. Yep. They made it work. They got a ship out of it. So why can't the Nets? Like, yes, it can absolutely work. But I will say this.
Go ahead.
No, I will say this. So I'm answering the question. It can absolutely work. But now here's where I got to develop and grow. Because I'm not like you guys, the insiders, and you have sources and scoops. Look, I spent 3 years in Brooklyn when I was playing for the Jets and the Giants. I know a few people in Brooklyn, and they don't think that this is what they need. They actually think when you throw a list out there of potentials, DeMar DeRozan could actually be a better fit for them. So I do agree with you when it comes down to fit does matter. But then when you look at if this happened, could they make it work? I absolutely think they could.
It's a possibility. Like I said, just based on sheer talent, they may be able to get to the finals. But you mentioned Golden State. Klay and Steph don't dominate the basketball. They don't over-dribble. They're obviously better shooters than Kyrie and Harden, as well as those two shoot. And they move better without the ball. Just dropping 3 Hall of Famers together, even in their prime, does not mean it's going to work. Remember, Charles Barkley, Scottie Pippen, Hakeem Olajuwon. It didn't work. Charles Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler. It didn't work. It doesn't. People have to understand. You can't just throw 3 great players together.
You going back to when I was you going back to when I was in elementary school. You know I don't remember those damn games. Like,
I'm a historian, Brandon.
Wilds, go ahead.
We're sorry.
Historian, NBA
you think
historian.
Their ceiling is what? The finals? And then they flame out?
Ceiling?
Because if their ceiling is what's their ceiling?
Look, I would not write them off to have a chance to win a championship. I definitely think they could get to the finals. It does. They don't fit. It could flame out. Look, but they would have potential. Harden has shown he can play more versatile basketball, but at this point in his career, after all these MVP scoring titles, is he willing to do that? Even when they were in Oklahoma City together with Westbrook instead of Kyrie, Harden had to come off the bench. Because as I said, when a big 3 doesn't fit, one of them has to take a back seat and kind of be a role player, a la Kevin Love, a la Chris Bosh. So you're talking about a chemistry experiment. And potentially it could be great, but a very good potential that it would disappoint.
All right, well, there was another NBA nugget that caught our eye yesterday. Reported trade between the Lakers and Thunder that would send Danny Green and the 28th overall pick to OKC for Dennis Schroeder. And, Nick, you tweeted out some inside information yesterday. Said, sorry to interrupt the NFL Sunday. Let's put it up here. But I'm hearing the Lakers are pretty convinced Rondo is gone. Atlanta is the most likely destination, with the Hawks hoping he can be a valuable veteran to help Trae Young's development. All right, Nick, let's talk about the Lakers adding Dennis Schroeder. How much does that impact their title chances?
Oh, it increases them. It's a great trade. It's the trade we talked about on Friday. To me, it made way more sense than DeMar DeRozan. And you still keep Kyle Kuzma as a trade chip. I don't know how much value he has. Rondo, but the other news here is Rondo's gone. So I've got a little bit of information for Lakers and NBA fans. Here's what you need to know. Condavious Caldwell-Pope will probably be back, but it's going to be similar to the J.R. Smith situation, his last contract in Cleveland. It's going to take a long time, and the Lakers are going to have to pay a lot of money, use their bird rights to get him. Rondo is gone almost assuredly to Atlanta, and then they have a decision to make. Do they try to keep Dwight, or do they let Dwight leave, probably to Golden State, and try to use their entire mid-level on maybe Tristan Thompson or the guy I think would fit better in Serge Ibaka? Those are the moving pieces, along with Anthony Davis deciding, is he going to take a 1+1 or the 5-year deal, which are the two things he's weighing. But Schroeder, the addition of Schroeder makes a ton of sense for him, Broussard. It fits. Danny Green was clearly on the downside. The 28th pick wasn't going to help him this year. So I love the Schroeder trade, Broussard.
Nick Scoop makes up for those horrific Russell Westbrook trade proposals from last week. So good job, Nick. I'd much rather have Serge Ibaka if I'm the Lakers than Tristan Thompson. Yeah, this is a great fit. Like I said last week, DeRozan was iffy as far as the fit. Schroeder showed he can play on the ball or off the ball by playing with Chris Paul and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's a bona fide third scorer who can also make plays for other players, and he shoots the three well enough not to shrink the floor for LeBron and AD. He's better than Rondo at this point. The only question is he better than playoff Rondo at this point? But look, the Lakers got better with this deal.
All right, we got to take a turn and get back to that Hail Mary of all Hail Marys, the one that resulted in the catch of all catches, and where that now leaves Kyler Murray in the MVP race. That's next. Broussard, thank you, as always. Thursday Night Football, two of the most exciting quarterbacks in the league squaring off. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals taking on Russell Wilson and the Seahawks this week, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on Fox NFL Network and streaming on Prime Video.
Huge game.
Love to watch it.
Let's go. Huge game.
Time now for stories to start your morning, sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. We got to go to Arizona for the wildest finish of the season. Bills had this game won. The Cardinals down 4, time expiring. Kyler Murray heaving it up. The Hail Mary. When does this ever work? How about right here? DeAndre Hopkins coming down with the most amazing finish I've seen in years. DeAndre Hopkins was your hero yesterday. Here he is after pulling off the insane catch.
You know, in basketball terminology, that's what they call this. You know, when somebody get dunked on. But it was on 3 people. Yeah, that was you know, they were in position. It was just a better catch by eye.
I've never played receiver, so I don't even, I'm thinking he's got to run down there. That's a 50-yard trot down there, and then he's got to post up with 3 dudes that are NFL athletes. I don't know. I don't know. It's that's a tough catch. It's tough.
All right, well, the accolades started pouring in after that. LeBron with this, wow, 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 hop, 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 D-hop, my brother different. Patrick Mahomes tweeting, DeAndre Hopkins is a monster man, and Eli Manning having some fun. There are only a select few of us that can make a play like this, said Eli. All right, Brandon, you know there would be no catch if there was not that throw. So which was better, the throw or the catch?
Yeah, I mean, you said it, Jenna. It's like, when does this ever work? Never. I did this 1,000 times in practice, in games, over 13 years, and it never works. Whether I was at the point, the guy that was supposed to go get the ball, I was the backside guy trying to cut over the field to go get the ball, the tip, it never works. We've seen quarterbacks before throw it, throughout games in unique ways and unique positions, whether it's thrown across their body, whether it's thrown off their back foot, going down, getting hit. But we never see a wide receiver go up and come down with the ball in those Hail Mary situations. So I got to give the edge to DeAndre Hopkins. It was a phenomenal catch. It's hard for most wide receivers to beat one guy, let alone 3. So I got to go with DeAndre Hopkins. This was great. This was phenomenal. And it thrust him into the conversation of being the best wide receiver in football.
Oh, there we go.
which right now is a spot that's vacant. It's like a heavyweight champion of the world and nobody holds the belt. There's 6 guys contending for it. More on that later. However, Kyler's play is unreal. Kyler's play is unbelievable, and this little slight feint you're going to see right there that allows him to get past the rusher is an underrated part of this. But the reason the catch is more impressive is I can think of 4 human beings walking the earth that I'm confident can make the play Kyler made. Kyler, Russ, Rodgers, Mahomes. Those 4 guys all could do it. I don't think there is another person on the planet that could make this catch that DeAndre made, because it's not just the leap and the timing, but the hand strength, and you see it on the replay. I understand maybe the Bills didn't play this perfectly, Wilds, but there are 6 Buffalo Bill hands up there, and 27 is pulling his arm down. And for his hand strength to be able to hold on to the football, it reminded me of a play he made a couple years ago that didn't even count when he was still with the Texans, when he caught it one-handed and then put it through his legs. He is a one-of-one as far as unique skill set in the league, and to me, he was the star of this play, with Kyler Wilds being a co-star.
I'll tell you who wasn't the star of this play. Jordan Poyer. If we watch it again, keep your eye on number 21 for the Bills, Jordan Poyer, who acts like the one guy you don't really want to invite to the bar for drinks. He's like, where you going, guys? Here I come. Blammo. Invites himself to the party. And then he's standing there. Everyone else on the ground is like, boy, did I just ruin the entire play? It's a great play from Kyler. It's a great catch. And I know DeAndre is like, yeah, it was on 3 guys. It was on 2 guys and 1 guy that decided to crash the party, Jenna.
This is a problem.
Well, go ahead, Jordan. Then I'll move on.
No, it's good. It's just a problem. Like you coach this up, and everything comes down to situational football. The defenders, to Wild's point, like everybody's going for the ball. There should be 2 guys boxing out, pulling on DeAndre Hopkins, batting the ball down. And this is just coached bad. This was executed all bad, Jenna.
Okay. All right, well, because of it, the Cardinals walk away winners. Whether you think it was a great catch or a great throw, it was one of a number of great throws by Kyler Murray yesterday. Murray jumped into 4th in MVP odds behind Russ, Mahomes, and Rodgers. So, Brandon, I'll send it back to you. Do you think Kyler Murray officially entered the MVP discussion after this throw right here?
100%. You got to say yes. And I think we could have had this conversation, and we may have started it last week. But, Nick, he's having a Lamar Jackson type of year. If you look at the numbers, I mean, he's on pace to do what Lamar Jackson did last year when he won the MVP. He gets it done through the air. He gets it done on the ground. But the coolest thing about it is he does it with a lot of flair. He does it with a lot of attitude. I mean, yesterday, he wore yellow cleats. And I think that's what separates him from a lot of the other candidates, is he does it with this attitude and this swagger that nobody else is doing. Now, you're predictable, Nick. I know where you're going to go. Well, Patrick Mahomes. But the reality is this. When you look at MVP, it's most valuable player. And his job is harder than Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, he's benefiting from having 2 excellent offensive-minded coaches around him. He's also benefiting from having 3 excellent wide receivers around him, including Travis Kelce. And his defense is playing really good. They're probably at a top 7 defense right now, playing lights out in all categories. So for that reason, I have to give the edge to Kyler Murray if we had to vote today. Now, Russell Wilson is still my guy, all right? There's a lot of football left, but Russell Wilson needs to turn it around ASAP. Well, maybe Russell Wilson doesn't even need to focus on MVP and just getting that team back on track so they can contend in the playoffs.
All right, I know your yellow cleats thing might sound a little bit weird, but I think you make a good point that Kyler has like these big moments. He breaks more long runs than anybody except Nick Chubb. This was sort of a defining moment, and I don't know if Patrick Mahomes has had one defining moment just because he's great all the time. But so, Nick, I still think it's Mahomes, but Kyler, they've got the best offense. The only person with more rushing touchdowns than Kyler Murray is Dalvin Cook, and he's pacing for 4,200 passing yards and 1,000 rushing yards to be the first time ever. All that being said, unless Mahomes does something wrong, it's still Patrick Mahomes' award to lose.
What?
Yeah, so listen, fellas, I'm not gonna. Brandon can, pump this NFC West propaganda all he'd like. It should be noted that last week, while everyone was saying Russell Wilson was the leading MVP candidate, I said Kyler Murray could put himself in that discussion if they won and Seattle lost this weekend, and that is exactly what happened. And while we're talking about Patrick Mahomes' weapons, it's true, I don't know how Kyler does it with just DeAndre Hopkins and Larry Fitzgerald on the outside.
Larry Fitzgerald is 50 years old.
Okay, all right, listen, again, you're right. He's no Sammy Watkins who hasn't played in a month because he's got a bad hamstring. And, he doesn't. It's Kyler's with that old school defensive-minded head coach, Cliff Kingsbury, who got the job purely because he would get the most out of Kyler. But again, I am not here to tear down Kyler Murray. Just like the first month of the season, when Russ was the in vogue guy, I wasn't here to turn him down. Or kind of the 2/5 mark of the season when it was Aaron Rodgers. Or now they're the midway point. It's Kyler. The consistent guy through the race, though, has been, and Josh Allen even arrived at one point, has been Patrick Mahomes. And the reason is because of this.
That's right.
And we can show it to you. All of these guys have great games. Only one of them never has bad games. Look at the turnover numbers. That's not a misprint. So he's giving you the yards and the touchdowns of the other guys without any of the turnovers of the other guys. So this is right now, Brandon, this is a lot like discussing who's the greatest hockey player ever. That's a boring debate. So you just say, who's the second greatest hockey player ever? And it's a ton of fun. So the question, Brandon, is who is going to have the honor of finishing second to Mahomes in the MVP race? Right now, it's probably Kyler. It's a hell of an honor, but that's what they're competing for because Patrick Mahomes is your league MVP.
Well, you did a great job of laying that out for us, but I think the real question, Nick, is are we going to include the running game? You can't exclude that. Wilds just laid it out for us. 4,000 yards through air, 1,000 yards on the ground. This has never happened in the NFL before. For that reason, we have to have this discussion. So are we going to include rushing on your graphs or not?
1,000%, but that graph included rushing. That included his rushing touchdowns. I'm doing this fairly. That includes his rushing touchdowns.
I want
rushing
yards.
That's another. Yeah, sure. Throw them in there next time. I think that's
you do a great job.
That's
the issue. You do a great job of manipulating the numbers.
That actually was. That was yard. No, that was both. I'm right. That was yards and touchdowns, rushing and passing. Thank you, good sir.
You didn't
I think
put
you just
Josh
proved my
Allen's
point.
receiving touchdown in there.